Hey, what's up, Hoosier fans? Welcome back to another edition of Under the Hood with IU Football. I'm Rhett Lewis. Great to be back here with you as we continue our series getting to know Coach Curt Cignetti's coaching staff as we approach spring ball coming up in a few weeks. Excited to get this Hoosiers team on the field and excited to kind of continue to get to understand what this staff is all about. And we get a chance to do that today with co-offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach Tino Sinceri is here with us. And Tino, excited to talk to you, man. Thanks for giving us a few minutes of your time. Really appreciate it, man. I can't tell you, all the guys that I keep in touch with, all the alums, man, we're so stoked to have you guys here in Bloomington and to kind of see, what you guys can do with this program, because I think we all feel like the excitement is going to lead to great things based off all of your track record. So thank you.
Oh, no, thank you. No, thank you so much for having me on. It's been a blessing since we've been here. All of Hoosier Nation has been awesome. And I know one thing is that we're working hard each and every day to be able to capitalize on it and not waste a moment.
That's fantastic, man. And, I think a lot of times in coaching, we talk about influences, right? And, you've got a great one in your dad, who has an illustrious career as a coach, at the collegiate level. And obviously you kind of following in those footsteps once your professional career was done. And, one of the great things is their names and their coaches that can kind of bind you and tie you back together. And you continue to kind of learn from a bunch of them, and you and your dad and Coach Sig all had the opportunity to be around Coach Saban.
Yes,
Who retired from college football this year. And so just thinking about that and how that kind of resonates, it's kind of crazy to think about. What did you learn from your experiences, in Alabama? I know it was brief, but how would you kind of describe that?
Well, it was a unique perspective for myself because my dad had coached there for numerous years. My brother had played there. And so I'd always been one to be able to go to Tuscaloosa. I would go to the bowl games. I'd be around their staff. I would see how all of them were able to work and kind of the standard in which that coach held every single person in that building too. And my ultimate goal was to ultimately get to be able to work for him one day. And one of the things in which that I wanted to be able to do is to be able to capitalize on the people in which that had also learned from him that had gone on to have success. So being around Jimbo Fisher in my first stint in 16 and 17 at Florida State and being around somebody who is his offensive coordinator at LSU and seeing kind of what he took away from Coach Saban and was able to implement, and then being around Jeremy Pruitt in 18 at Tennessee, it was something to where I felt like I wanted to be able to get attached to as close as I could to Coach Saban, and ultimately hoping to finally maybe one day get to work for him. And I was very, very blessed that whenever I got done in 18, Coach Saban gave me that call to be able to come down to Alabama to work with Steve Sarkisian, be his right-hand man, and to really help him. And it was something to where whenever I first went into Coach Saban's office, and something in which that I appreciate more than you could possibly imagine, is just his direction, leadership, and also how he kind of cultivates you as a young coach. And what I did is I walked into his office and just said, Coach, I said, I'm here to be able to help the program as much as I possibly can, but also to be able to grow as much as I can. What do you think is the best thing for me to be able to do here to be able to help the program? And to that point, I had been an analyst everywhere I had been. So I didn't have to take any classes. I didn't have to worry about any GA
That's right.
stuff. I didn't have to worry about any of those things. And Coach actually looked at me and he said, with the capabilities of what the graduate assistant's able to do, I think that that's the best thing for you, because it allows you to be basically an on-the-field coach, but the only thing you can't do is go on the road and actually recruit.
Right.
So he said, I want you to be in the box. I want you to be able to coach on the field. I want you to be able to be an active recruiter inside the building. I want you to be able to have it to where you could be able to make sure to be able to run the scout teams, and being able to do that for me each and every day whenever it comes into the season. And he was able to really show, and coming from somebody in which I was making good money at Tennessee, and then being able to have it to where I had to make only $1,400 a month of being a GA and having to take class and doing all those things. At first I was like, kind of just shocked. I kind of sat there and kind of just said, yes, sir. And I didn't realize how much it was going to help me, because for my 2 years in which that I was at Alabama, I got to be able to see Coach Saban, the defensive staff, adjust out to every single team in which we played. I got to be able to be in the box and give Steve Sarkisian every single defense and what the quarterback was doing, and being able to hear that talk and communication and thought process during every single game, even our years when we won the national championship. So to be able to sit in those rooms and be able to hear how he was able to really be focusing on the process and not being able to be result oriented and being able to make sure that you're attacking everything each and every day, of basically being able to hold your standard and accountability level to the highest level you possibly could, is all things in which that I took away from him, and being able to have it to where I implement all those things in today's process. I'm being able to have it to where carrying it over for our quarterbacks now. So I really can never thank him enough for the opportunity that he gave me, the lessons that he gave me, and really just the standard of how to be able to operate and being able to hold yourself to that high standard, and the people around you.
Man, well said. And, considering, your brother Vinny has been with Bill Belichick for 4 years. And now both of those guys, on back-to-back days, leave their post where they had been, fixtures for decades is pretty incredible. Your family has been a part of some terrific coaching trees, that is for sure. And you're now kind of forming your own here, which is pretty cool. As you're sitting here now at Indiana, and like I said, we're stoked to have you, man, and excited to see what you can do with this quarterback group. One that is a little new and has some holdovers. Obviously, Taven Jackson had some experience this year as a starter at IU. You bring in Curtis Rourke, who has a ton of experience starting at Ohio. And then, of course, you'll have the young bucks coming in here soon. He got in this year's class. How would you kind of describe this group right now?
Well, I think that each and every year it's a fresh new group, and you have to be able to take it as all those guys have no experience. And especially whenever you come into a new room in which that you haven't been able to implement your culture of the standard in which you have to be able to operate each and every day. And I think that the biggest thing that this group has been able to show me really early on is that they're very eager to learn. They're very eager to be able to dive into the process of what we believe, and I believe wholeheartedly, to be able to have to where you have to be able to play at a certain level. But it takes a lot of things to be able to get you to that level. And we've already had one meeting to where I kind of just laid out the ways in which that we have to be able to operate off the field, in the classroom, in the workouts, the ways in which that I think that how you do one thing is how you do everything, and things that carry over, and being able to have it to where they kind of really, really match each other. So I'm really excited about it. I think that each and every one has special tools and gifts. But the biggest thing that I had to be able to really specify to them is that they're really only competing against themselves every day. That our goal is to be able to have the best quarterback room in the country, not necessarily just even the best player, because really, if we're elevating each and every single one of us and being able to have it to where we're self-assessing each other each and every day, we're going to be able to grow and maximize each and every opportunity. And you're also going to be able to have it to where you turn to your right and turn to your left, and you start to really help each other out. You start to be each other's biggest fan. You start to be able to have it to where you look out for one another. You help each other on the field, and you build that camaraderie in the room. And I think that that's always something that's really important, and something that we've been able to build in my 3 years of being a quarterbacks coach and owning that room.
It's also kind of unique too, because, a lot of times you do find yourself in some pretty heated competition, like IU has seen the last couple of years within that position group, fighting for one spot, right? Which is, again, pretty unique in terms of football and offensive football. And so, you bring in a player in Curtis who's going to be embarking on his final year of eligibility, whereas, everybody else in the room is going to have, a few years remaining. What's your message to them in terms of that competition and what that'll look like moving forward?
Well, I don't even have them looking at it as a competition to where you're competing against anybody else in the room. You're competing against yourself, because self-growth is the best way to be able to make sure in which that you're being able to gain your edge every single day. Because if you're looking at who's right of you and who's left of you, it's taking away from your ability to be able to maximize your learning each and every day. So I have it to where the competition is internal. You have to be able to have it to where you're the best self-assess that you can possibly do each and every day. You're your harshest critic, but you never lose your confidence either. And being able to have it to where if you continuously stack those days and continuously being able to make sure in which that you're being able to provide yourself the best chance and opportunity to be able to grow and to learn and be able to maximize your opportunity to play. I don't know whenever you're going to get that opportunity. I don't know. But I do know one thing is that you'll be ready for it, and you'll be ready to be able to play really, really well. If you make sure to be able to focus in on the details and being able to handle the things in which that are in your control and being able to maximize each and every day on those things.
And that's a fascinating perspective, Tino. That's super cool. And because it is a position, and sometimes, at least an external competition where it feels like all the eyes are on you. And man, that kind of mindset I feel like is so valuable for some of these guys, who look, none of which are a finished product, right? In
Right.
terms of being a quarterback at any level, at any year or any level of eligibility at this point in terms of what they would have left. So how would you characterize how you approach fundamentals with those guys on a day-to-day basis, in addition to like, hey, this is what we're going to run, this is what we need you to know, in terms of how we operate this offense and what you're going to be looking at when you get out there and try to execute a rep?
Well, the biggest thing in which that I tell them is the same thing, and I told them in our first meeting is that I respect every single person in which that you've learned from to this point, whether it's your quarterback coach in high school, whether it's your private quarterback coaches now, past coaches in which that you've been in Indiana. But what we're going to do is our way. And what our way is being able to start from scratch each and every year. Because even if you're a 5th or 6th year senior, there's still things in which that if you dive into it and be able to go to the baseline of what you're doing, you're going to be able to still maybe be able to learn something as little as this, to be able to have it to where it's going to make a huge difference in your game. So from day one, we talk about the baseline fundamentals of being able to play, whether it's footwork, eye discipline, ball carriage, all those things. And we hit those things every day, to being able to make sure in which the repetition of being able to be consistent, right? Because most people, the definition of great is just being consistently good, is being able to show each and every day in which that you're going to be able to make sure to focus in on those details, and being able to make sure that you're taking the time to really be able to focus in. So even though Curtis Rourke is a guy in which it's now going on his 6th year, he's been able to play, he's been able to do those things. I still talk to him about being able to make sure in which that how he needs to be able to function, and the things in which that he needs to be able to do to be able to grow each and every day, to be able to maximize his opportunities. It's the same way with Taven Jackson. It's the same way with Tyler Cherry. It's the same way with Brock Lowry, all of those guys. Because at that certain point, when you're focusing in and being able to really take care of those minute details, there's still an edge in which that you're going to be able to gain. There's a reason why Tom Brady still came back in his 20-something year, right? He's chasing that. I'm trying to be perfect. I know I will not be perfect, but I can get really close. I
Yeah.
think really close. So it's the same thing with what we're going to be able to do each and every day here. We're going to be able to maximize each and every day. We're going to be able to take it for what it is. We're going to learn from it, and we're going to be able to make sure in which that if it's something in which we can be able to implement to help us get better, to help our room get better, we're going to consistently be able to do that. If it's something in which that we need to improve on, okay, let's really, really diagnose it. Let's be able to go in and be able to detail it out, and then be able to have it to where we can be able to adjust and make it something to where now it's going to be a strength of ours.
Man, I have enjoyed the heck out of this, kind of getting to know, what drives you and what's going to drive your group, and look forward to seeing them out on the field, for sure. Just a taste, but there will be more to come. Thanks
Yes.
again, Tino. Really appreciate it, man.
Well, thank you so much for being able to have me on.